Hey guys, Dante here and welcome back to my channel, The Burgos Art, and welcome to another edition of Quick Vids where I show you how to make something cool in a short amount of time, such as this bizarre item right here. So this whole thing right here is something that's been on my table for quite some time. It is made of recycled material, and essentially what you do is take a bunch of plastic bags, tie them up, squeeze them, and hit them with a heating gun of some type, and you get cool shapes like this one, which I also then just glued down to a piece of cardboard. So it's a great way to recycle old material, and then afterwards I just went ahead and painted it with some glue and painted Mod Podge. Now this whole thing is actually an idea I got from a channel called Black Magic Craft, link in the bottom beneath. Black Magic Craft saw someone else do it, and then he couldn't find the link for that person, so it's kind of an idea passed through an idea passed through an idea, and I made this and I didn't know what to do with it, so I just had to sit on a little table I had in the corner, and I decided to turn it into a mountain using these other recycled pieces. What I mean is I'm going to take all this old EVA foam chunks, stuff that cannot be recycled normally, and I chopped it up into these little stone shapes. And essentially, yeah, you end up with all these little weird pieces left behind. And rather than have them just go into a landfill, these small shapes are going to be glued all over this mountain stony-like shape I've made with the plastic bags as a way of, well, recycling everything. And in case you're wondering, yes, all the audio is done after the fact, which is why I'm doing all these bizarre hand gestures that don't quite match my voice. Anyway, yes, we are using cheap material, foam, plastic, toothpicks, and popsicle sticks, and we're going to try and recycle as much as we can to make something kind of cool. So let's get started, shall we? So here we have all of these kind of Flintstone-esque shape houses cut at random and hot glued to the main frame, along with popsicle sticks stabbed into it, a little staircase I made at the bottom, and it was just kind of haphazardly put together. Like, I decided to make a little wooden plank roof on this one. I decided to go ahead and make divots in the popsicle sticks to kind of make it look like they're made from planks. And I added fun details like the fact that this bridge is broken at random pieces, leading to this semi-abandoned little house, kind of making stories as you go along. Speaking of which, I also found this weird indent from the original piece when I originally made it, and decided to make a mysterious tower at the very top. You don't know how you get to it, but it's up there for some reason. And I stuck another toothpick into this piece that kind of got all dried up a bit too much from the hot glue gun, and I'm going to make that into a tree. So first thing you want to do, once you have everything in place, go ahead and give it a nice black coat of paint. I use airbrush paint to get into all the fine details, and adding more layers of paint to this plastic bag material is great because even though it does shrink when you squeeze it tightly with a heating gun, it does not harden. So adding as much paint as possible before you get into the final painting process is a good thing to do. I am right now just going to go ahead and do some dry brushing. Dry brushing is pretty simple. You just take a nice like a mid-tone, like a base coat, wipe off the excess on a paper towel like I'm doing here, and then give the whole thing a light rubbing. You don't want to get into all the fine details. You just want to get like the outer areas. And I want to also apologize for the bad camera angle here. But this is also why you use a black undercoat. Like I said, Mod Podge with some black paint. That way it kind of does the shading for you. Deep black undertone into all the fine details, and then you just continue with different color tones of dry brushing. So I went from gray to yellow, and right here I'm adding some goldish brown. Kind of the idea is to show like really bleached stone, because it's sun bleached. The sun is hitting this mountainside with this weird abandoned town that's on it, and it's causing different color tones. And you know, go loose, have fun. That's what I did. Just really go loose to get all those paints you want, you know, all those painting tones you want. After I did all that, I then went in with a nice wet brush, where I just really watered down some light brown to seep into the finer details, to fill in side by side with all the black basing, or the black base that is. And that's what it is. It's just dry brushing, wet brushing. And I know it looks like it's a mess right now, but once it dries up, you end up with something very nice and mixed in tones. I'm gonna add another layer of dry brush. So I had black undertone gray, a brownish gray for bleached stone, and then this final piece right here is really, really whitish gray to get light colored stone, like stone that has maybe like chipped off, just to get as much really cool shading. And once again, take the brush, wipe off the excess on a piece of paper, and then lightly brush up and down all the little fine details. Now with the mountain painted, I also dropped some golden brown on all the wooden pieces, being sure not to completely soak them because I want that dirty feeling, so I let some of the black and gray kind of slip through. And then I also took some tones of red. I wanted to get this kind of terracotta looking stone for all the housing, like it's made of mud. It's not necessarily carved into the mountain, it's done like after the fact. And now we get to the fun part of adding textures. So now we are kind of skipping a little hop and a skip away from recycled material. And what we're doing is using some more model-based material. So take some tacky glue. And I took some tacky glue and I just chose sparingly where I wanted this material to go. It's meant to be either a moss that's growing on it or maybe vines. I'm just using the same kind of light grit even on the tree, on the base right here. The same kind of light grit green flocking, which you just sprinkle onto the glue. You know, you have something beneath it to catch it, so you just sprinkle it on and add layer after layer. You could buy different textures, like they have like textured green flocking for trees and bushes. This is primarily for like grass, but I figured if I'm working on a really small scale, I could use it for all the material I want. You know, just whatever. Like I said, tree, vine work, whatever. Next step, I decided to go ahead and add a base for it, coated it in yellow. And I was thinking, should I use this stone? And I figured, no, you know what? I'll use this foam, in fact. So, what I've done is add the base, add an extra base, glue my guy to it, and I'm taking this tacky glue, and I'm going to cover this square base in tacky glue, and then add all of this recycled foam. This foam is all the shavings you get from like packing foam. Even when you unpack a piece of material like a TV or a refrigerator, and you get these like horrible for the environment foam blocks, styrofoam. It's styrofoam. If you chop it up, number one, it gets everywhere because it's staticky. But I have this little Tupperware full of this leftover material from former projects, and I found that with a lot of glue, you could squeeze this stuff right into it, and it makes a nice stone texture. And I use it a lot for like water-based material. So you just take it, squeeze it in, really squish it in there, get it all mixed in with the glue. And this, along with larger blocks of foam, once again recycled EVA foam, I was able to get like different layers of brown and gray stone. And there we go. This kind of sandy material, larger boulders, and the sand is just yellow, orange, and the brown you see right there. And that gives us our base. I also added this kind of sunken dock. Once again, toothpicks, popsicle sticks, some brown paint, and now we're gonna do a little turnaround. So this is what we got just so far, and I was really happy with this. Like, I'm really happy with the textures. You can see those brown tones on the stone, those golden browns against the gray, against the black, just layered up using dry brush. And then all of the mossy, grassy material growing on the side of the mountain off of the terracotta housing. And yeah, so far I was really happy with this as it went along. Let's also cut over to some still images to get some detail shots. Close up of the broken bridge and the house there. A close up of the house next to the cave. There's the docks. Once again, just brown tones, popsicle sticks, and toothpicks. And the housing, which is just foam cut randomly. So we're going to go even further away from the recycled material, and we're going to start using some resin. I've had this resin sitting around forever. So I realized, happy accident, the square I cut was actually perfectly shaped and sized for this Lego block. Like, it's perfect millimeter size, and I used this Lego square to make this perfect shaped plastic casing with lots and lots and lots of hot glue. And I just slid my little sculpture right into there. So, epoxy resin. It's a two-part resin. It dries clear as long as you mix it correctly, 1-to-1. And I just went ahead, mixed a small amount. And the main thing to know about this is that its working time is kind of fast. So you want to really make sure that everything's prepped. Everything's prepped perfectly. You want to make sure that the plastic frame, such as the one you see here, is completely watertight. I hot glued it together, poured water, and tested it. Poured water again and tested it over and over again until I got every detail, every little corner clogged up. Let it dry, and then I just poured a small amount in. You pour it in, the work time is quick, but it takes like days to really harden fully. And all I really wanted was this much, just a little 1/4 inch high to match up the base of the actual sculpture.
And here we go, guys. This is our finished City of Stone and Water. I am actually extremely happy with the outcome of this. As you can see, I even built a little handmade spinny doodle, whatever you want to call it, to show it off, because when I try to buy one online, it always comes in messed up. So I just made one myself. But yeah, so I am extremely happy with how this thing looks. The resin came out great. So I'm just going to do a little turnaround here. So you have the shiny resin, you have all the moss, the numerous shading tones of the stone, the broken bridge detail, the sunken dock, which I've shown several times already in the video. And I'm just really happy with this miniature. And it's like a real miniature. It's not just a D&D miniature. It's like a really, really tiny city miniature. And I want to remind you guys, this was made primarily out of all recycled material. Once again, plastic bags that you just kind of squeeze together using a heating gun, toothpicks, leftover EVA foam, all that stuff you can find around your crafty workshop area. And if you don't have the foam, you could probably just, if you don't have EVA foam, you could always, once again, even use more of the popsicle sticks to make like wooden houses. And the only really extravagant part of this was the flocking, the grassy material, and the resin. And also once again, styrofoam for the stone. And yeah, that's it. So you could easily make this or something like it in your house. And if you don't have a heating gun, you could use a really strong hair dryer, because once again, the plastic doesn't really become solid and like rock hard. It just kind of like scrunches together, and that's all you really need. I used a heating gun that's primarily for shrink wrap. I bought it with a big roll of shrink wrap, and yeah, it just came together very well. So that's a turnaround. Let's get a few nice close shots of it. Take some of this tape off the bottom. One moment, please. Move this off to the side. In case you're wondering, this thing was literally made out of some old, I think it's called Connect. I just freaking had a box of Connect from when I was little. So I pulled it out to make one of these. So, give the camera a moment to focus. There's a lot of glare. And there we go. So within the resin, you can see the orange and brown painted styrofoam pellets along with these larger pieces of EVA foam that actually stick out from the resin, so that, you know, big boulders sticking out from the ocean, and it gives a great sandy, rocky texture. So yeah, you know, don't throw away anything, especially if you buy a lot of electrical stuff, electrical products, and you have all this foam, and you don't want to throw it into the garbage. You want to use it for something. The shredding can be used for stuff like this. There's an up close of the tree, and I remind you, the tree is actually the plastic bag, but it got like burnt and it crinkled kind of hard. So I decided to use its general shape, and I just put a little toothpick at the bottom, and that gave us our tree. Once again, the broken staircase, the abandoned hut, the very top, the mysterious cave and mysterious house. No one knows how you get there. The staircase that goes into the water, and the numerous shapes just carved up with an X-Acto knife. I poked holes in it with the toothpicks, and just found the shapes I thought worked best. You know, just a big old slab on top, kind of Stonehenge-y, and that is how we got our city. There we go. So, yeah, that's that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gives you ideas for the future. Once again, big shout out to Black Magic Craft. His work inspires me to do a lot of amazing things. Check him out. Once again, link in the bottom for him. And once again, guys, I am Dante. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the future. Later.
If you liked this video, be sure to check out my other works on my YouTube channel, and also be sure to follow me on these social media websites, linked in the description down below.